Story time of the first time I ever got a tattoo, and yes, I was 16, which if you didn't know is illegal in the state that I live in. This is said tattoo. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. The reason that this story is significant is because it was such a sketchy situation. I was 16 and homeless, and my mother literally wanted to unalive me. Basically, me and my mom were going through a time where we were not getting along at all. Like, she was unmedicated with bipolar, and I was a angsty 16-year-old. I wanted to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it, and she wanted to read the Bible and talk about politics all the time. Like, if you're familiar with bipolar and psychosis, like, you know, if you know, you know, if you don't, you don't. And my mom and me were literally going at it, and like, my mom is an older Italian lady, so you know, like, she doesn't stop. Fight was like something out of an action movie. I was throwing fans, she was chasing me up the stairs, like, it was bad. Finally, I say to her, I'm moving out, like, I'm done living here, like, blah. I think she thought I was bluffing because I ended up calling my aunt, and I was like, I'm moving out, can you come pick me up? Can I stay with you for a little while? Aunt comes and picks me up, and I think my mom thought, like, I would only be there a few days, and then I'd get over it, or she would get over it, and we'd make up, but that was, like, not the time I was on. I was actually just like, I'm actually moving out, this is ridiculous. It was toxic. I started living out of the spare bedroom in my aunt's house, and honestly, like, anything goes there. Like, I could pretty much do whatever I wanted. Healthy, and I would have done it differently now, but I was 16, and I wanted to do my own thing. At the same time, I became obsessed with the fact that I was a Gemini. Like, I was so into looking at my horoscope. I believed everything it said. I literally broke up with my boyfriend because my horoscope told me to, which is a whole other story. In my head, I'm like, what is the craziest thing I can do that will piss my mother off the absolute most? Get a tattoo. I'd had a few friends that I knew of that had gotten tattoos, and I was like, I wonder how they did it. So I asked them, and they told me about this sketchy ass tattoo shop that was in the city. This tattoo shop was like in the corner of the city next to a gas station, and they served minors. So like, you can only imagine. I decided to make friends with this girl that was like 2 years older than me, and she was like known for just being a bad kid. She also had her license and was dating my ex-boyfriend, so I was like, perfect storm. Let's make more stories, baby. So I call her up, and I'm like, hey, you want to take me to get a tattoo? Like, you have a license, let's go. She tells me she's been having sexy time with one of the guys that works there and that he would get me in there easy. I was like, perfect. I want to get this tattoo that I found on Pinterest, which is such a coming of age. Like, a Pinterest tattoo of your zodiac sign is just like a coming of age. Post the Pinterest tattoo on Facebook, and I say soon emoji, tattoo emoji. My mom thought I was bluffing again because, like, where am I going to get this tattoo? No, I wasn't bluffing. I walk up into this tattoo shop with this girl, and there's Chihuahua puppies everywhere. Chihuahua poop everywhere. I walk up and I'm like, hi, I'm here for my appointment. And this guy like literally looks at me and he goes, okay, back room. I'm like, what? By the way, if you couldn't tell, this is a very traumatic time of my life. I'm having anxiety spots already. He starts the tattoo, and obviously I don't know how tattoos feel at the time. I just so happened to pick my rib cage for my first tattoo. Not a wise decision. In the middle of the tattoo, he literally looks at me and he's like, how old are you? And of course I'm like 18, duh, like I'm 18. He literally looks at me and goes, no, you're not, but that's fine. Just don't let your mom sue us. Well, my mom had other plans, so go to part 2. I'm so sorry. Part 2 of the story time of the first time I ever got a tattoo at 16 while I was homeless. Against my mother's will. He gets done with a tattoo and I'm literally bleeding everywhere like an obscene amount. I've never bled that much during a tattoo since. Makes me know he was kind of unexperienced, obviously, because the tattoo also turned out like shit. I go home and I have like saran wrap. It's not even like poly wrap or whatever they call it. It's just saran wrap taped to me, which is kind of normal. But at the same time, I was like gushing blood, so like maybe let it get a little bit of air, you know? I get home and like I said, I'm living with my aunt and my little cousin, so like I have to keep this kind of hidden. While I wanted my mom to eventually find out, I didn't want her to find out right away because I didn't want her to like know who took me or where I went, like all of that. My aunt decides that it's the perfect weekend for a little boating getaway, so we're gonna go spend the weekend on her father's boat, which means like bathing suits, salt water, everything you shouldn't do with a tattoo. I show my little cousin, I'm like, girl, you cannot tell anyone. And honestly, she's loyal. She didn't tell anyone. I'm on this boating getaway and I'm like wearing a flannel the whole time. Like, is not like me. I love to swim. Like, I love to be naked. Like, obviously I would normally not do that. Aunt's best friend happens to notice the tattoo and she's like, when did you get that? Like, that is so cute. Like, OMG, do not tell my mother. Do not tell my aunt. I'm literally gonna die right now. Of course, the girl told my aunt. My aunt found out like right away. Honestly, she thought it was cute, but she knew like this is gonna get infected. Like, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. This boosted my little head because I'm like, okay, everyone's on my side. Like, I can post about my tattoo now. I decided to have my little baby 13-year-old cousin take a picture of me in my bikini with my tattoo hanging out so that I could post it on Instagram. Obviously, my mom sees this and I'm getting blown up. She's turning my phone off. I'm going into the Sprint account and then turning my phone back on. I like changed the phone password so she couldn't log into her own Sprint account. Yeah, did I ever say I was a good kid? No, I was a bad kid. Finally, she says, like, I'm suing this tattoo shop. Like, I know where you got it done. I'm just sitting there like, wow, that's actually exactly what the guy asked me not to do. So, mom ends up posting a Facebook post about how they served me underage and like all this stuff, and a bunch of people are saying like, oh my god, my kids had that happen too. Pretty sure she went on Google and left like a bad review about how they like illegally breed puppies inside the tattoo shop and serve minors, but the tattoo shop ended up closing down. A few weeks, but me and my mom honestly made up, and then I moved back in for a little while before she ended up losing the house and I was homeless again. I'd go through that whole like, I'm gonna get it removed for you thing, and I was like, no you're not, I'm literally like such a baddie, like you're not removing my perfect tattoo. The tattoo's so bad. It's so bad. They have since opened up a new shop with the same name, but they only do piercings. And their piercings cost $10. So I only can imagine. I have a full sleeve and a bunch of tattoos, and my mom doesn't care and she loves them. Moral of the story, don't get a tattoo when you're underage, especially behind your mom's back. I was homeless at 17 and I still went to college, and you guys always want to know how I went to college if I was homeless, and I'm going to tell you how I managed to go to college. Long story short, my mom lost the house that we were living in when I was 17, and she had a psychotic break at the same time, so she couldn't afford to get a new place. Basically, we were both homeless at the same time, and my aunt let me stay with her for a little while until I got kicked out of there, and my mom stayed with her boyfriend until we found out he was a pedophile. That is a whole other story for a whole other time, but yeah, that happened. It meant that while I was in high school, I was homeless, and I was trying to figure out what my life was going to look like. I actually graduated high school with a 3.8 GPA, and I was accepted into every single college I wanted to go to, and my main college I wanted to go to, I had a full ride. I finally got my own apartment, and I decided it was time to start a community college minimally. I found out that my social security number was all screwed up, and they thought my birthday was a different day than it actually was. For 2 years straight, I was denied financial aid because they didn't even think I was a citizen. For me, this meant that I had to hustle literally 10 times harder than a lot of people because I had to have 2 jobs, 5 side hustles. I was always finding new ways to make money. I finally figured out all the stuff with my social security stuff, which took forever, mind you, because it's hard jumping through hoops. The community college that I was applying to offered me a scholarship for youth homelessness, so that was helpful. In New York, they have this thing called a dependency override form, which you can fill out if you're completely independent, right? Not only was I completely independent, but my mom hadn't filled out taxes in years, so I couldn't use her tax information. And my father's not really in the picture, so that ended up doing was covering my entire tuition and then giving me some money to be able to pay rent. Semester, I got $8,000 back from the school itself. Started school thinking I was going to be a nurse. Big mistake. I was never going to be a nurse. I was the first person in my entire family to go to college, so I was so excited to even just be taking classes. Finished off my first semester with a 4.0 average. Like, do you understand? That is crazy. Then COVID hit for my second semester. I failed every single class except for one. Decided to change my major to teaching, and then I failed again. After that, I dropped out temporarily because I wanted to figure out what do I actually want to do with my life before I ruin my GPA. And now we're here, and I'm still figuring things out. And I love you guys. That's it. Bye. My mom took in my bestie / brother Shaquan in 11th grade. My year of 11th grade, his year of 10th grade. He stayed with us up until we lost the house, which was like 3 months before the end of my senior year. And when we lost the house, he just moved back in with his family. All in the same year, my mom quit painkillers, which, yay, we are so proud of her. But she also lost her dog of 15 years, she lost her house and her business, and left me homeless. So she had an absolute psychotic break. This lasted years, and it was fucking hard. I thought I had lost my mother at that point, and I had grieved her for years. But I'm so glad to tell you that she is doing amazing now, and we are closer than ever. She got therapy and counseling, and she's figuring herself out. And my brother has loved us through it all. Last year, my brother literally bailed my mom out of jail, if you were wondering. This is why when I tell you my life is like an episode of Shameless, like I'm not even fucking kidding you. That is also why I'm starting a podcast with my best friend Tegan in February. Look out for it. I love you. Bye.